Live. We're going live now. We are live. Yeah, your definition of 5 minutes is a little bit different than mine. That's okay. Thank you everybody for showing up. This is the Boys season 3 recap. No, live chat. We're off to a bad start. Hit thumbs down. I'm Pat from the recaps. That is Dan from Scene Invaders. I had him start doing these with me, so I'm just not talking to myself. Real quick, if you guys are new to these live chats, heavy spoilers, very, very heavy. If you haven't watched the show, click thumbs up and then keep it moving because we're going to ruin the whole damn thing for you. Just some house cleaning things. I do have a Patreon link. It should be in the description. So click on that. And then you get stuff like you get shout outs on live chats like Luna, who is one of my Patreon subscribers. She paid for one of the tiers that gets you a shout out. Way to go, Luna. And then you could also buy merch and stuff. All right, now that that's done. Dan, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You're the only person I can find on short notice to do these. Trust me, I tried just about everybody else I could think of, and you were it. So, but that's in a good way. So
Good.
You're one of the first people that ever told me about the boys.
Nice.
You were one of the people on like the ground floor, whatever you want to call it. And you really talked it up. And I think you got it from your brother. Greg.
This came from Greg, yeah.
And then it quickly exploded to what it is today, which is probably Apple's most popular show. I don't think that's a question, really. The Boys is really huge. And you see why 3 seasons in now, it's gotten bigger and bigger with them expanding out to a couple of other shows that they're planning on doing with it and the whole Vought gang. But you're the perfect person to jump in on this with because of the fact that, you really like the show. So I'll start out with, did you end up liking this season compared to the previous ones?
Yeah, I did. I thought Soldier Boy was a great addition. It's funny that he's from South Philly. I didn't really know that.
Yeah,
but
right?
I've done some digging into the comics during the off season, and I actually think the show might be better than the comics for this scenario because the comics do some things that are like really, really strange choices with some of the characters. But this season, I was worried about because I know certain things, but they obviously went a different direction. But there was one thing that really bugged me. Do you want me to tell you my negatives now?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
I'm as I tweet out that we're live, so everyone can come and hang out with us. Go ahead.
Okay, so you know how the Boys is typically anti-super, like they do whatever superhero movies do, they do the opposite. So they don't do the typical tropes that a lot of comic book movies or shows do. But this season they pulled that at the end. They never ever do fake out deaths ever, and they did that at the end with Maeve, and I was like, oh, it's not the Boys to do something like that. Now she's back. She doesn't have her powers, so I don't get the purpose that she serves because it was supposed to be all I need to kill Homelander and that's it. And we thought that she went out sacrificing herself, but it turns out she didn't. So it just left a little weird taste in my mouth that they pulled a fake out death. But outside of that, I thought it was a great season. Like pretty much they've improved every year, if that's even possible. But they have. Outside of that, did that bother you at all?
Now that you mention it, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I thought this was the worst season they've done.
That's the yeah.
I just didn't really jive with a lot of what they did in this season, and I'm a big fan of the show, but I kind of just felt like they rushed a lot of things and they abandoned a lot of things midpoint. Like they would start out on something and you think they're going down a rabbit hole and then they'd switch off. Soldier Boy, look, whatever. Wasn't a huge fan of the name, as stupid as that sounds, but it's based on a comic book. So all I could think of was Soldier Boy Tell 'em, because I'm 33 and we both graduated in 07. So Soldier Boy was big back then. But, the villain, like it's hard for me to rip a show when it's based off of, a comic book because they're going from the material, but I just felt like this wasn't the most creative season in the world. And a lot of the stuff that they did, it was like, all right, whatever. Okay, he's back. He's back from Russia. Like, even right down to the fact that they don't kill him off. They just freeze his body for later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it was 2 fake out deaths, really.
Yeah, well, now, look,
Yeah.
I it's not like I don't like the show, because I do. I enjoyed myself watching it. There were a lot of enjoyable scenes. I just felt like this was the weakest season. I guess it was the fact that I didn't really care about Soldier Boy too much. I didn't care about his backstory, which they hinted on a lot. And that was a big part of his anger and his frustration and whatnot, but I just didn't find myself being attached to the character at all. The Maeve stuff, you talk about the fake out. Yeah, it was like all of a sudden she just flipped on a dime and decided, no, Homelander doesn't have to be stopped. I have to be a superhero and save this group. A lot of it I just felt was very rushed, very forced. And with that said, it speaks to the level of this show, because I still find myself enjoying it. I wasn't like miserable. I wasn't dreading watching the episodes. I liked it. So this is really the first live chat I've done of a show where I'm kind of critical on the season I watched. But yeah, the fact that it was Soldier Boy doesn't die, the fact that Queen, like, I actually kind of like the Queen Maeve angle of just like her getting to ride off in the sunset. But I found it interesting of the Ashley angle of like she just deletes the footage.
Mm-hmm.
No, what knows, but they're just gonna let her go. Now, with all of that said, I mean, Homelander was incredible this season. Anthony Starr deserves many awards, as Emmanuel Scott brings up. He deserves an Emmy. Couldn't agree more. That guy was born to play that role. I've loved that actor since. Now all of a sudden I'm forgetting the name of
Banshee.
The show. Banshee, yeah. I gave you credit for being on the ground floor with the boys, man. I was like week 1 of Banshee. I was all in. Love that show. He's so good in that role. And then he got this Homelander role, and he's even better. He is so perfect at being that like fragile psychopath that flies off the handle at a moment's notice. And you really saw that this season. So he was one of the strengths of it. But you find out, obviously, and once again, heavy spoilers, you find out that Soldier Boy is his dad, which didn't come as a major surprise because of how strong he was. But what did you think of the character Soldier Boy? Did you like him, or are you critical of him like I was?
A bit of both. I thought it was cool what they did with a lot of similarities to Captain America, but kind of the opposite side. So like when Cap comes back, he's got culture shock, but in a different way than how Soldier Boy had it. Soldier Boy, like, they immediately showed him being like grossed out to certain things that go on today. And his character is like a bad person. So I thought he portrayed the role pretty well. I don't watch Supernatural. Do you?
I don't.
That's what he came from. So I know he's got a big following. Like he's got a fan base to begin with, but this is my first time actually ever seeing this actor. So parts of it I liked and parts of it I didn't, but overall I am happy he's not dead. I am, because think about it. Like, he's still really the only best chance to kill Homelander that we know of. And if they're going to lead to that eventually, you're going to need him around. So it's fine with me that he's still around. But I did not like that last battle scene. It just felt like, it didn't feel like a finale. It just kind of happened. Yeah,
I agree 100%. It did not feel like a finale at all. In fact, when I finished it up, and I finished it that night that I watched it, and immediately came in to recap it, and I double checked a few times to make sure that it was an 8-episode season, because I felt like there was just more from the show, and nope, that's it. So look, I understand why they do it. One of the things that I hate about superhero movies and now superhero TV shows is, let's keep the villain alive. I'm ready to move on for a lot of times. And I was the same way in like Harry Potter. When I'll never forget, dude, starting the 4th Harry Potter book and being like, this dickhead again, like Voldemort, really? Like I did 2 books with that. Like the third one's the best one because it ain't Voldemort. It's his uncle. And now you're starting back up with the dude with no nose. Like, get somebody else, man. So at that point, I put the book aside. I was like, I'll wait for the damn movies. Yeah, like he's eventually going to come back because of the Homelander angle, but I'm also getting tired of Homelander. Like, as good as he is, as good as Anthony Starr is in that role, I'm sick of him. I'm sick of, we need to end this guy. We need to stop him at all costs. We need to kill Homelander. And somehow, some way, for 3 seasons now, he's found a way out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I think it was Anthony Starr or the writer or the directors or whatever said, like, he's not going to last. He's eventually going to die before the show ends up wrapping up. If that's the last season, if this thing ends up lasting 6-7 seasons and he finally dies in the last season, like I might be out at that point, because you can't keep hinting for 3 straight seasons as, you know, Billy in that thick Cockney accent of, you know, we need to get this Homelander guy, we need to take him out. And then at the end of the season, Homelander's sitting there with a shit-eating grin on his face. Like, eventually, you need to take him out. I know. Yeah. I know his character's great. Okay, I get it. Eventually, though, you're losing me as a viewer because I'm like, here we go again. Homelander's going to go off. He's going to be nuts. He's going to have his cult following. He's going to terrify everybody in Vought. There's going to be a couple outliers who scream, we need to stop him. Then Vaught's not going to listen. And then eventually, at the end of it, they both go their separate ways, and they're going to try to regroup and figure out what to do next. Like, I'm over it at this point. I'm sick of Homelander. Die, just freaking die.
Yeah, and it would be a pretty epic scene watching him die too, because I'm sure Eric Kripke, the showrunner, has a general idea of how he wants to do it, and I'm sure Butcher would be involved, especially with his powers. You know, now he's got a year to live. You know, he's probably going to end up taking real Compound V, not the temporary stuff. So that'll probably save his life eventually. But I mean, you just got to think, what could they think to do after that? I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess they could bring Soldier Boy back as the villain if they kill off Homelander. So maybe they don't know what they want to do yet. So they're kind of trying to string him along because he is really good in the role. So there's some people that don't want him to die because they like him so much as a character. Now, if he were to die, it would be epic, man. It would be so cool. But I wonder when they have the guts to actually make that move. And
yeah, that's kind of my problem is at what point do you branch out? These are based on comic books. It's not like he's the only bad guy. Yeah, I'm kind of at the point where, like, I'm Soldier Boyed out. Or not Soldier Boyed out. Soldier Boy tell him. I'm Homelandered out completely. Yeah. You touched on something right there, Billy dying. And we saw that at the end of the season where taking all that Temp V is really taking its toll on Billy. And now he's, you know, you actually saw it with Huey a little bit too, where they didn't really touch on it too much. It was just, you know, if you were one of those people, and I'm guilty of it, where you'll be watching a show, but you'll be on your phone at the same time. Briefly, Huey started cleaning out his ear too. So he was going through it as well. Yeah. But Billy ends up collapsing, going to the doctor, and you find out, you know, he's got about probably a year to live. And you brought up something I haven't thought of, that he ends up taking just V. Yeah. All of it. Screw it. Where does he get it, though? Like, where would you, because he was getting it from Queen Maeve, but Queen Maeve is no longer with Vought, so where does he get it?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's going to need to find a new angle. Or maybe have Huey take the Temp V again and sneak in and steal it if they think that's like their only chance to live. Or maybe he can get it from his connection in the CIA. I mean, who knows? I mean, what they're building up to for next season is having Victoria be like the main villain again, the head popper. She kind of took this season off because of everything that happened with Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Like, think about season 2. Like, that's who's the head popper. It was like this mystery type of thing. And now we know who she is, and she kind of just chilled this season. Like, she had her interactions with Homelander, but for the most part, she was in the background. So now they're going to bring her back. She's a gender swapped version of a character from the comics who ends up being the president. So that's probably what they're doing. If she wins the vice president, all she has to do is pop the president's head and she's president. So I think they'll probably go that angle. And then if you have her in power being the president, and then you have Homelander in power of Vought, and they have somewhat of a team up. They don't like each other, but they'll work with each other enough. So that could be dangerous, having those two in power. But they're going to end up not liking each other probably and screw each other over. But if they didn't, that's dangerous. If they work together, yeah.
I mean, the head popper thing in season 2 was incredible. That whole storyline of who was doing it. You never thought Victoria Neuman was doing it, or at least I didn't. I'm an idiot. I thought in Titanic the ship would make the entire journey because they kept hyping it up as unsinkable. And next thing you know, iceberg happens. I'm like, they'll be fine. It's a stupid iceberg. Boom, ship sank. So I didn't see it coming, but it was interesting because it was another villain. And you're right. Like they just gave her this season off. Alexis DeJesus says, I wish she got more airtime. Could not agree more. Like I like her character because she's so inconspicuous. She doesn't really look the part at all, but she's uber dangerous. And they even touched on like her backstory. Like they would bring her up and then they just cast her aside. Mm-hmm. Then they bring her up and like the thing that she did was stand and just outing him to the public was such a power move, and she's such a powerful superhero. Like they're super. Like Huey's superpower when he was on temp was kind of lame. Like it was productive, but it was lame. It's like I don't know. It's like the guy that works for the gas company. Like it's a lame job, but it's necessary. Shout out to all my gas company workers out there. Like it's not exciting, but you need it. But her superhero power is incredible. Like that's awesome. And the fact that she didn't pop one head this season, lame.
That's true.
The fact, and we talked about how it was rushed. Like I felt at least it was rushed. One of the examples is her interaction with Homelander at the end at that rally of, she clearly gives him the location of Ryan. Everybody could figure that out right from the get-go, but you didn't know what she wanted. And even when Homelander goes to the Deep and whispers in his ear to go kill the would-be vice president, I still didn't quite put the pieces together. And then when it finally became obvious okay, she wanted the vice president killed. Why didn't you just do it yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
you could pop his head easily.
Why do you need Homelander? You could have done that in a heartbeat. No one knows it's you. I thought that was dumb and rushed. But yeah, she's clearly the bad guy now. Terrence Childs brings up an interesting idea here. He says Billy Butcher is the next villain. He's already a bad guy. I would find that interesting. I don't think he's far off. Like I like Billy, but I like Billy because you're kind of supposed to like Billy, but he's not a good guy.
Do you want to know why I like the TV show more than the comics?
Go ahead.
It's a spoiler for the comics. You don't care?
Actually, don't tell me because next season I'll be thinking about it the entire time.
It's a reason why I was nervous for this season, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think that Billy will turn into a villain. It's a storyline. I think that how they started showing how he sees his brother and Huey this season, and he had like multiple visions of that. So I think that's really changing him, and obviously like he knocked him out to not let him take Temp V again. He was looking out for him, but I think that relationship is going to save him on a human level. But I do think he will end up taking Compound B for real, because he's not just going to sit around and die. That's not who Butcher is. No shot.
I'll tell you one thing I liked about this season is, and I felt like it at the time, and then it ended up paying huge dividends towards the end, was that interaction with Ryan where he just snaps. He loses it and screams at Ryan for killing his mom, blaming him. And you got to remember Ryan's like 9 or 10, so kid's a sponge, and he takes that stuff to heart. I think anybody would take that to heart when someone tells you killed your mom. But obviously it ends up paying huge dividends towards the end of the season with Ryan latching more on a Homelander, because Homelander told him everything that Billy didn't. He was the exact opposite. Like it was the first time Homelander I felt like was a decent person. And I relate to Billy in that situation because I think every parent's done it. Like you just lose your shit on your child at some time or another. And I was even telling my wife recently, like every time I scream at our kid, which like, don't get me wrong, I'm not Billy Butcher's dad, but every time he drives me nuts and I'm like, Jesus, would you stop talking? Like you got to stop. I always follow it up with, I love you so much, because it's like, you don't want your kid to sit there and be Ryan, who's like, oh my God, like I thought I looked at this guy as a father figure, and now he's telling me that he wants nothing to do with me and all that stuff. So I related to that scene, but it was at the time kind of a throwaway scene that you just go, all right, Billy's being a jerk, whatever. And then it ends up being a huge part of this season. And Juicy J loves you. I love you too. He says, what do you think will happen with Ryan Butcher in season 4? What do you think his storyline will be? I mean, I could 1000% see Homelander kind of using Ryan as like a human shield at times, because no one wants to kill a kid, obviously. That was a big part of the final battle, was the fact that Soldier Boy like shoved Ryan. It was like, dude, you don't cross that line. And I could see, like, I don't really get the attachment of Homelander and Ryan. I think Homelander finds it convenient to have a son, but I don't get the sense that he actually loves Ryan. Could be wrong on that, but what do you think that storyline is?
I mean, yeah, he was using him to try to de-escalate Soldier Boy from a fight. He was like, look, we got a family. So I think the 7 is pretty much done. It's been done for a while, but now it's like actually done. There's only, he's got A-Train, who he doesn't trust. He's got the Deep, who he uses, but semi-trust, I guess. I guess he trusts the Deep more than anybody else, but that's about it. Annie quit. She's no longer Starlight. So really it's just him, his son, the Deep, and A-Train. So I think he's going to be with his son doing missions and stuff. Like, he announced his kid to the world. We're like, this is my son. This is Ryan. And he's not hiding that anymore. So, yeah, I think Ryan will be full force with Homelander probably for the whole season next season. He's going to use him to whatever advantage he could make that. He'll use it to the best of his ability for sure. That's what he does. And it is a descendant of Soldier Boy. So Ryan's very strong. We've only seen him scratch the surface. He might be stronger than Homelander someday. So I think we'll see a lot of Ryan next season for sure. And it's going to be a lot of Homelander wishing he didn't do what you said he did and fly off the handle when he was just looking out for his best interest. But now that forced him directly into Homelander's arms. So it really backfired.
Yeah, I could see Homelander losing his cool on Ryan at some point, just the same way Billy did. They're two high-strung individuals. They both have similar backstories in the sense of, like, they both have daddy problems. They both have this tough exterior, but in reality, they're slowly dying on the inside. They have a lot in common, even though they're enemies. So I could definitely see them both. I could see at the end of season 4, Ryan being right back to Homelander or to Billy. Because Homelander lost his cool on him. And I think they're, and look, you read the comic, as did Emmanuel Scott, who's on here a lot. And I appreciate his support. I think that Ryan's going to be the guy to take down Homelander. I think they're kind of hinting at that, or being at least a big part of it whenever that happens. I don't know. No spoilers, please, in that sense. But
Ryan's not in it. He's
not in it at all. Okay. That makes it easier. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned the 7 being dead for all intents and purposes, which it is. I mean, Vought and Ashley will do. By the way, like, did I miss something? What happened to Ashley's hair?
That's another thing from the comic. There was a character that was slowly pulling out her hair little by little. So they showed her doing that throughout the season. She would rip out little pieces. So she's just so stressed out that she ripped out all her hair and then put on a wig.
Because I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, were you hinting at this? And I didn't pick it up, and all of a sudden she takes it off, and not a great look. Hope that actress got paid well. So anyway, Ashley's going to do her best to, do the whole 7 thing, get it back together, because it's such a big part of Vought, and obviously they had like American Idol for superheroes, and Homelander will be running things. But the 2 characters that I thought that they just have completely lost storylines with are A-Train and the Deep. The Deep has become a joke for I mean, let's call it what it is. He's having sex with a squid or an octopus. He's Soldier Boy's bitch, or he's Homelander's bitch boy. Like, he doesn't really, he's not necessary. When the Deep scene comes on, I just go like, all right, I can kind of check out mentally, because he doesn't matter. And the A-Train's similar. I don't care about the A-Train storyline anymore. And I feel like the showrunners have done that to me, where they have these two characters, they don't know what to do with them, so they just kind of, like the A-Train's, his storyline is supposed to be serious, the whole Blue Hawk thing, his brother and all that, but it was it just felt like a complete like side mission. It felt like a separate entity from the actual storyline that we were watching, that it was like forced of, holy shit, we've got 40 minutes in the can, but we got to fill 20. What are we going to do? Let's do something with these two. Like they need to either get them back on track or kill them off, because I'm all for jokes, obviously. Like, I like to laugh. I love going, ha! Like, live for that shit. But it gets to a point where like the joke about the deep is like losing me. I sound real negative with the show. I actually really do like it. I've seen 2 really strong seasons, and then this one has been rough. And Dan, if you're wondering, Naked HD XYZ says you can find love in your city today. So if you're looking for that, just hit up Naked HD XYZ. Okay. And I will hide user on this channel because that is clearly spam. Don't hit that.
Oh yeah, do not hit it.
Do you think Queen Maeve is gone for good?
No, I don't. I think she'll be back this season, next season for sure. But I don't know if she'll get her powers back. That's a tough one, because she really looked at the powers as a burden more than anyone in the 7. So I think she's happy that, and she even said, she's like, I'm going to go live somewhere that the Homelander can't find me. So she's pretty much given up on her goal to kill him and just go live a quiet life. But she's going to come back in some way. She'll be back. But Black Noir won't be back. That was unexpected.
Woo!
That was unexpected.
You know what? But I liked it. I did.
Yeah.
Because Black Noir was another character where I'm like, the whole mystery of Black Noir, I didn't care. You know what I loved about this season was I got a backstory on Black Noir.
Yeah.
That entire backstory, if I saw Black Noir's face, I know what happened to it. I know why he doesn't talk. I know why he wears the mask. Like, once again, I'm not one of the guys that's reading the comic book, so I don't have the backstory. I like that. And I like the way that they did it with the whole, like, him going back to that Chuck E. Cheese-esque establishment, and he's like clearly befriending the characters, and they really told the story of what happened. I love that. I love what they did. And I like the fact that he died at the end, because he was just like, didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah. They kind of backed themselves into a corner with that character for the show, because since he's dead, I can tell you, in the show, Homelander has see-through vision, so he can see your face no matter what. In the comics, he didn't. So in the comics, Black Noir is actually a clone of Homelander, and you don't know because he's got his mask on, and Homelander doesn't know because he can't see through his mask. So they made him to kill Homelander if they ever had to kill Homelander, but they had to completely change it for the show because Homelander's got the see-through vision. So they just made up this whole storyline, and they gave him a lot of background this year, especially because he came from Soldier Boy's old team back in the day. I thought that was really cool. He was the one who got the orders from Stan Edgar to turn on him because they created Homelander, who was going to be the new improved version. So it was, they did what they could with that character. But yeah, it was unexpected. I didn't know what they were doing with like the animated animals. I was like, what the heck is this all about? And then,
so you don't like that part?
Yeah, it just felt silly. I don't know. And then he just died right after that. So, I mean, I was surprised he came back at all, to be honest, because he was kind of running from him. So, like, why did he even come back? I don't know. I would have liked it better if Soldier Boy fought him rather than Homelander kill him like that. But it was still like a shock scene. I was like, oh wow, like he's dead.
Yeah, I found it interesting too that he came back. I didn't expect him to come back after that. I guess he just felt like he had unfinished business. Let me read out some comments here. Oh no, Rita said the season ending made me sad. Not shocked, sad. I really hated how Black Noir died. Yeah, I felt like it was time, as we just kind of talked about there. Emmanuel Scott said Head Popper is a good actress. I agree. I think she's good in that role. He also said Black Noir sucks. He might be awesome in the comics. I kind of agree. He was the Man of Mystery thing. I felt like it was time to go. And then the Big Fizz 21 said, I thought Ashley was becoming a soup after all the hair pulling. It's kind of interesting to me she hasn't become a soup, honestly, because she's got all the disposable, the resources there to do it. It was one person who lost the ability to become a soup and then became a soup was Kimiko.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like, they kind of hyped it up as, okay, well, she's getting the V because she wants her powers back to go after Soldier Boy or Homelander or whatever, and she didn't make even one iota of an impact other than protecting Frenchie. I really thought she was going to be more powerful in that fight, and then, by the way, that scene was awesome where she puts on Maniac and she just goes,
yeah, it was cool.
That was great, great job by the showrunners. Other than that, it's that whole story. This was such a weird season, and it just didn't feel like it had any real direction. And that's another example where I felt like they didn't have any direction. She's cool with not having power. She finally likes that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, go get me some V.
Yeah,
and he doesn't really end up having much of an impact.
Yeah, I'm not sure they know what to do with her character right now either. I mean,
I feel like that's a common trend, though, is they don't know what to do with too many of these characters. And what's troubling is they don't know what to do with these characters. It's written out for you in a damn comic book. How do you not know what to do with them?
It's very different right now, super different. It's tough, man, especially with her scenario, because when she lost her powers, what you were touching on, she was kind of happy about it, right? She had that musical scene. She was like, oh, I can love Frenchie and have this life, and then just totally changed her mind the next time she had the chance to take V. She took it. So I don't get her character, but I love Frenchie. Frenchie's probably my favorite character in the show. He didn't get enough screen time this season, though. I feel like he was a little underused, but he's awesome, man. He's a mad scientist. He just creates anything. He's so smart. I love him. He's a great person too. He's sincere and genuine. He's like the heart of the group.
I completely agree. He's the guy who has a conscience. And that was now that as we're talking about it, I'm thinking of more rushed angles to the show. The little Nina angle was she shows up for a couple episodes and then she's gone.
Yeah.
What is that? All right. So look, we talked about the Billy. We think he's clearly dying, but you also brought up the fact that you think he's going to end up just becoming a suit for the last year. Screw it. Why not? That angle of Starlight joining the group is going to be interesting because she still has her following, obviously, which was kind of the whole reason why she was kept alive. Do you think her and Huey end up staying together?
Yeah, I do. But I saw someone post on Twitter and it made me laugh. So that scene, the final battle when she's powering up and they turn up all the power so she can get more power, and she goes for this awesome blast and then just uses it and falls down.
Yeah.
Someone was like, she's got the worst powers of all time. And I'm like,
she really does.
Yeah,
those powers suck.
Yeah.
That
was her big thing.
They're lame. Yeah. They're just lame powers. Even Billy, somehow Billy ends up getting these awesome powers with a temporary V. And poor Starlight gets she becomes female Tesla. It's all right, cool, good job, Edison. You took some power from some light bulbs, and you barely knocked him over, by the way.
Barely, and knocked yourself down too.
Yeah. Very, very interesting with that. One thing that I thought was completely overblown this season. Could not believe it. Looked forward to it. Watched it and went, I shaved my chest for this Herogasm episode. Dude, they hyped up episode 6 as oh my God, this is the raunchiest, the dirtiest, it's just never before seen. I can't believe we got away with it. And I watched it and went, that's an episode of The Boys. That's every episode of The Boys ever. What was so weird about that? Oh my God. There was a superhero with a dick that's in the shape of an anaconda. Do you remember how you started season 1? You started season 1 with a guy crawling into a male genitalia tail and exploding inside out. Okay, not the Pixar movie. That's how you started season 1, and you hyped up Herogasm. Was I the only one disappointed about that? Like I was let down.
I just the Deep's line of your mouth is like a vacuum cleaner to an octopus really knocked me down.
That's what I mean. Like his character's funny, but I know that every time he comes on, we're not advancing the storyline. It's more of a joke.
Yeah, he is a joke. Yeah, exactly. And his wife even left him and did a tell-all on him.
Yo, okay. So, I gotta say, like, I didn't really find her all that attractive until the scene with her, the Deep, and the octopus in bed, and she got up, and I was like, oh, all right, what up? So if she's on this live stream and she wants to go to Qdoba, I already went today. Okay, I got my bag of chips, but if she wants to go again, I'll buy. Because all of a sudden I went like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, look, that but to the point, like that was funny, but that episode wasn't any more raunchy than anything else they've done. That was literally the boys episode. If they didn't hype up that episode, like I'm wondering why they decided to hype that up. I can't be the only one sitting here going, the Emperor had no clothes.
That's probably because fans of the comic probably hyped it up because they saw that they were finally, doing that this season, so they got all excited about it. But yeah, I mean, it did kind of happen pretty fast, but Herogasm did bring my favorite moment of the season when Homelander, Soldier Boy, and Butcher all fought. I thought that was really cool.
That was cool.
I watched the whole behind the scenes for the making of that fight too. It was really neat how they did all that. So that was my favorite part of the season. So I enjoyed that episode, but I get what you're talking about. Like it just kind of was another episode of The Boys when it's all said and done. And like, I didn't notice, but I guess I'm with you in saying that this was probably the worst season because,
by the way, still a strong season.
Still good.
But if I had to rank them, I would have said season 2, season 1. I probably would say season 2. Season 2 and 1 were really close. But I might go season 1, 2, and 3. But season 1 and 2 are close. Season 3 is like that's clearly the worst one to me.
Yeah, it just they didn't really have like a sense of direction for all these like. That's something tough that you got to do, right? We have a character with a show with so many different characters. You got to give them it's not everybody's the Russo brothers and knows how to give everyone a certain amount of screen time. So it's tough, but when you have that problem, I would look at it as like a good problem to have because you have all these complex characters that you want to get into everything. But I think the problem is it's season 3 about to be season 4. You got to start killing some of these people.
Yeah,
that's the fact. You got to.
We just did Stranger Things live chat a week ago, which you guys can go back and watch that. And one of the problems that I have with Stranger Things was they're not killing some of the main OGs. And I'm talking like the 4 kids. I'm not talking Max. I'm talking the 4 kids. I'm getting the same problem with a little bit with this show. But then again, on the flip side, it's like, well, if you're the showrunner, you're going, what are you talking about? We just killed off Black Noir. So like we are killing off some big characters. Like in a way, they have killed off bigger characters of like the 7, like in the grand scheme of things. Like in the first season, they killed off. It was one of the first episodes. They killed off that dude. They blew him up. Translucent. Yeah. So it's like okay. Yeah. But they're introducing characters and they're quickly killing them off. And Black Noir aside, for the most part, there's no real connection that you have with these people. And Billy's group, no one's been killed off yet. MM's still alive. Frenchie's still alive. All of them. I mean, Huey's surviving somehow. So that's an issue that I do have. Is eventually it's like you got to have a stronger death than Black Noir and Queen Maeve dying, but yet not dying. Really, just going off sunset with her girlfriend, soon to be wife. Yeah. It just that's kind of lame to me. But look, any predictions for season 4 that you think are going to happen? Obviously, Victoria Newman is going to be the big threat. And real quick, if you guys are just joining, the heavy spoilers on this chat. As I said earlier, Patreon link is in the description, so go click that. If you join in the next couple months. Even if you join at like the lowest tier, I'll give you access to the Discord, which Dan, you finally joined. Welcome,
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the group. So you guys can like see what is going on with me, non-channel related, as far as like what I'm watching and what I think and all that. So yeah, hit the Patreon link and then go buy a T-shirt. Anyway, now that I stopped begging for money, Victoria Newman's clearly going to be the bad guy. Do you like that though? Do you like that she's now the focus and it's no longer Homelander? When we all know Homelander's going to weasel his way in there somehow, but clearly at the end of it, Billy was like, all right, well now we know who we have to go after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and the Big Fizz says like, Victoria's going to be a legit threat. He's right. Like that superpower is insane. I can't believe that they've had opportunities to take her out and they haven't done it because she's so dangerous.
She is.
She's terrifying.
I mean, she just has to look at you and you're toast. So yeah, I mean, I do like her, and someone on the chat mentioned that she's a good actor. I agree with that. I think she's good, but what I'm confused about is her daughter. When she gave her daughter Compound V, remember her back was like morphing.
Totally forgot about that, honestly. But yeah, now that you bring
it
up,
it was like morphing. So we don't know what happened with her daughter. And
yeah, but didn't that happen with Kimiko too? Where like the back tenses up and then you kind of get better.
I guess that could just be an initial reaction to the V. Yeah, but we don't know what her power is though, her daughter. So that could be a plot point. I think she'll end up being president by the end of season 4. I think she'll be president, and she probably won't die. But I don't want to say that because that'll be kind of a letdown. If they keep doing this of not killing off the meat, it's going to get a little tired. So hopefully they have the guts to go ahead and kill one of these characters, maybe on both sides. You know, I love the boys. I love everyone in that group, but to give this show some more feeling to it, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions and get rid of some characters. So, but yeah, I think she'll be good. I think she'll be president. I think her and Homelander will begrudgingly work together for some time until the boys figure out how to stop her.
Yeah, Jonathan Cahoon, who usually joins these chats, appreciate the support. He said felt like her storyline in season 3 was underwhelming. Could not agree more. It was a badass character introduced in season 2 that they kind of just brought up here and there in season 3. It was, okay, we'll sprinkle in a little bit of this episode, a little bit of that episode, but it was more about the whole angle of the Soldier Boy, getting him back from Russia, finding out his backstory, killing Homelander and all that. And I don't know, that storyline just really didn't do it for me. Emmanuel Scott brings up head popper and daughter versus Homelander and son. That would be interesting. But I do agree with you, Dan, in the sense that I just think that her and Homelander will continue to work together. I mean, clearly, like, one thing that it sort of annoyed me that I kind of rolled my eyes at was like they so obviously were taking things from real life.
Oh my gosh, the guy with the the infamous January 6th guy, the guy that
that's what I'm talking about.
Someone was dressed up as him.
Yeah, it's like you're taking it too far.
Yeah.
You're taking the joke where it's not even a hint. You're just flat out throwing it in our face. Look, the Pepsi commercial with the A-Train, I kind of chuckled, but I was like, that's so obvious. But then, yeah, it's the whole angle of like, well, he's canceled, but this one sect, and the fact, right down to the fact they're like all wearing red hats. I mean, I'm like the definition of like a lib cuck soy boy, beta simp, snowflake, and even I was like, come on, man, like it's played out. That was a great joke if this was season 1 or 2. Like,
yeah, not
that our country doesn't have problems, but like the dude's not president anymore. Can we like move on from that tired, low hanging fruit? I don't know. I didn't really feel that. I thought like it was just overkill. But with that said, it sets up something interesting for Homelander, where he finally went off the handle and snapped, and got a huge sect of the fan base. Huge sect of the fan base. So There's a lot of people out there that now support Homelander, and not like in the real world of the show. But there's a lot of people that support Homelander now that might not have before. Like Todd. Todd supports Homelander. Who knew? That character kind of sucked. I found him kind of annoying, but yeah, like there's a lot of people out there that want Homelander now to go out and just kill. Like they don't even care. And it's going to be that sets up an interesting plot for season 4 of how far does he take that? Because when he killed that dude, his initial, I felt like, at least you can correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like when he killed that guy at the end of season 3, his initial reaction was like, oh crap, what did I just do? And then when he got the roar from the crowd, he was like, oh my God, they love it. Like they're not just loving my actions, they're accepting me for who I actually am. I no longer have to be this well-behaved dude. Like I can just be myself. And if that is the case, and my hunch on that is correct, and I mean, Soldier Boy is going to be like worse than ever in season 4.
Yeah, that was something, because remember it was either season 1 or season 2 when he had a vision of doing that, of lasering the public, and now he actually does it. He does it for real. So I mean, I was surprised that was the reaction. Honestly, I thought they were all gonna like run and be scared, but Todd is the first one to speak up, and they all kind of accept him for it. So that's going to give him some more confidence to be who he truly is. And I think that is going to set up the tape being released of the flight.
Yeah, I think Emmanuel Scott, and if it wasn't Emmanuel, I apologize. Somebody in the chat earlier said season 4 is definitely going to have the tape being released.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, for sure. And he's not going to care.
But
he'll say something.
Yeah, because you just said like he's not going to care, right?
Yeah.
Like they're clearly making Homelander out to be Trump and his supporters. And one of the things with Trump was like anything he did, his supporters backed.
Yes.
Like, just about. Like I'm not talking about like everybody, because there might be one person on the chat is like, oh, I didn't agree with everything. Like, okay. But for the most part, it just seemed like everything that guy did, no matter what scandal he was in, supporters backed. So if that tape gets released, you're probably right. Homelander's like, I don't care, because my supporters are going to back me up on that. They'll hear the logic of it. And, you're going to have Billy and his group, and mainly Starlight, being like, that's messed up. But it's going to be yet another swing and a miss at the King, right? Like, you come at the King, you best not miss. And all Billy and his team do is miss on Homelander. They just... They swing, they miss, they come close, and they don't really have a plan, but they get a plan, and it's interesting. Oh, all right. I just saw one comment. So yeah. So a guy from my work who runs our YouTube chat said he was gonna hop in today, and he hopped in, which I didn't expect. And if it wasn't him, then it's somebody else, but it cracks me up because I didn't expect it. Yeah. All right. Ryan and Homelander. That's the last thing I got is Ryan plus Homelander and the relationship. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but do you think that he ends up becoming more of an impactful suit this season?
Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's gonna be. I think he'll have a little Homelander suit, like a mini version. Like it'll be like Mini Me, and he'll fly around with his son doing missions. And someone's going to release the tape, and he's just going to be like, oh, did I hijack the plane? Oh, sorry, I tried to say it. Like, he'll say something along those lines. People aren't going to care. He's going to get more and more and more powerful. He's going to have this relationship with Victoria going on. So there's a lot working against the boys. I don't know how they have a fighting chance to bring things to their side. They're going to have to take Compound V, man. At least some of them. Some of them are going to have to.
It's going to be interesting if they end up perfecting Temp V and releasing it.
Yeah.
It just feels like Vought is crumbling.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I mean, like, you got Ashley running things, but she's not confident in her role at all. The 7 is done. Stan Edgar, like, there's another character that he's there 1 minute, he's gone the next. Like, does he make a return? As my wife ends up FaceTiming me. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these characters that they kind of brush by the wayside this season like a Stan Edgar, end up making a triumphant return next season. On whether or not they end up kind of getting the 7 group together that ends up going after a Homelander type. Because there's clearly a division that's going to take place. You've got a presidential race going on. You've got some people like Homelander in that group. Like, it's going to be interesting what happens as Billy and them. Like, that's where I think Billy and his group end up running into Homelander, and it is like the rallies and whatnot as they try to take down. Like, Homelander, in my opinion, is gonna be a situation where he sees the power in Victoria Neuman. Victoria Neuman sees the power in him. Like, that team being together and united front is good for both sides. And they're going to protect each other at all costs to make sure that she does get in the White House, whether it be vice president or president. And Billy is going in that group. You're going to end up going against the 2 most powerful soups with Soldier Boy in a box, and Victoria and Homelander. It's hard for me to believe that Billy, even if he does end up taking V, like the real stuff, it's hard for me to believe that Billy and Kimiko and Starlight, as we talked about, as the worst powers, ends up winning even against one of those, even against Victoria or Homelander, let alone both. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, you're going to need Ryan to turn on Homelander. You're going to need that because he is very strong. It's a dangerous duo, those two. The only thing that the boys have working for them is that those two cannot even trust each other. So, we saw when they made a deal, they were in each other's face about to kill each other. And that's when they were making a deal. So what if something goes wrong? Like, they're not going to have the best relationship at all times. That's the only thing that's working in the boys' favor. Because if they were truly working together, that'd be really hard to stop, especially with the positions of power that they're both in. It'd be really tough to stop that. So, yeah. Gonna be tough, man. How many seasons do you think they go?
So Jonathan Cahoon just asked. He goes, "Have they confirmed how many seasons the boys will be?" Feel like they're setting up for Billy to die in season 4. I definitely agree with that. But Billy is, like, you talked about Frenchie being the heart and soul of that group, and he is. Like, he's kind of the moral cleanse of that group. But Billy is that group. Yeah, and Billy is the leader. When Starlight came on that side, the first thought was, oh shit, how do we break this to Billy? And while Billy kind of lost that aura about him this past season, like when Frenchie just went off on him, it's still Billy Butcher. Like, he's still in charge. So he's one character that I'm like, I don't know how you survive as a show if you kill him off. Who takes over? Like, Mother's Milk has his daughter. Frenchie has Kimiko, and he's asking Kimiko to go away seemingly every other episode. Huey ain't it. Like, Huey's as much of a bitch as I am. So, like, who takes over that group? You need a hard-nosed guy like Billy, and there's nobody else to do it. But if he's dying, it's going to be tough. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they have confirmed how many seasons. I would expect that they will. I get the sense they'll run this into the ground like a la Walking Dead.
Oh, I hope not. I hope not.
I hope they don't either, but they have enough source material to go off of. And, how many Amazon shows are you watching?
One. Pretty much.
I mean, everybody in the chat, let me know, how many Amazon shows are you watching? I've watched The Boys. I've watched that Billy Bob Thornton show about the lawyer, which was actually really good. Although season 2 was meh. I liked it, but meh. Like, my point is, there's not a ton of Amazon Prime shows that get people excited. This is the one. They know that. Now Amazon has to develop their number 2 show. And they don't have that now. AMC had a similar problem with The Walking Dead where it was like, well, yeah, okay, we have The Walking Dead, but what else do we have besides The Walking Dead? And they tried with a few shows. And they just never really hit anything, at least not that I know of. Actually, no, that's not true because they had Breaking Bad. That segued into The Walking Dead. But then after The Walking Dead, then that's when they do you watch any AMC shows other than The Walking Dead?
No. Yeah, I mean, they had a nice run with Mad Men and then.
But like it was like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and then Walking Dead.
And then that was it. Yeah.
And then it's been at least. Go ahead.
Amazon has your favorite series coming soon. Lord of the Rings.
dude, fuck that.
Oh, you said that word.
Great. We get, instead of 3 hours of walking, we're going to get 8 hours of walking. Awesome.
Yep.
Can't wait. Hardest pass ever on that. I am
not recapping it.
Dude, I'll pay you to do that. I have no interest in that whatsoever. Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar, Dan is a buddy of mine. We used to play hockey together, but then he quit because he doesn't like me. He was sick of me not passing him the puck, and then the rare occasions that I would never hit his tape. So Dan has been recapping Severance for me
slowly.
The Apple show. It's fine. No rush. And I released episode 7 yesterday. And then I have started recapping Pennyworth season 2. I did season 1 a while back, and then I'm finally getting around to season 2. So I started
I remember when you wanted to watch Pennyworth. You were looking for logins. Back in the day. Do you like it?
I finally just bit the bullet, and now people are like telling me these are either really good Amazon shows like Invincible, which I have not watched.
Invincible's good. That's good.
What's the show that you watch? Upload,
very good.
Okay, all right. So maybe I'm like completely off base. Everybody hit thumbs down for my horrible TV opinions on channels not having hits. Yeah, because people are like Better Call Saul. I mean, idiot.
That's AMC. Yeah.
No one said idiot, but they're saying it with their eyes. I can see. Anyway, I finally bit the bullet and just like signed up for Epix because Pennyworth was on Epix, and then one day Pennyworth showed up on HBO Max, so it makes it easier for me to watch it.
Nice.
It's 10 episodes though. It's a 10 episode season, so something about 8 episodes feels perfect. 10 episodes. First season was okay. I liked it. Second season, I'm only 1 episode in. I was actually in the process of recapping it when we started this live chat. So I'm planning on finishing episode 1, uploading it tonight, and then hopefully, I'll work on episode 2 tomorrow. But they should be coming out with season 3 eventually, although there hasn't been an update on it in forever. So knowing my luck, Dan, I will spend like 40 hours doing this. I'll upload the whole thing, and then they'll be like, by the way, we're never doing season 3. That would suck. But yeah, so Dan's doing Severance. He's a buddy. Go check out his channel, Scene Invaders.
I will finish that this weekend, by the way.
Yeah, dude, whatever. I don't care. I mean, it's not like season 2 of Severance is like basically like I'm paying you to do it so that every once in a while I don't have to work.
Yeah.
Because my schedule, but like the listener usually doesn't. Like I have a regular job, and then the YouTube stuff I usually I upload a decent bit, and then every once in a while it's just like you just don't feel like doing it, and then that's when I upload a Dan video, and it helps me out. It helps me go home and sleep. So, Are there any other questions or comments on The Boys season 3 or season 4 or literally anything? By all means, throw them out there. In the meantime, Dan, what do you guys over at Scene Invaders have coming down the pike?
Yeah, perfect timing. We are just starting, me and my co-host for the What Just Happened show we do on YouTube, Julia. We just started doing Only Murders in the Building. So
yeah, is that good?
It is good. Yeah, it is good. So it's on season 2, episode 4. Yeah, episode 4. That comes out on Tuesdays. So episode 5 will be out next Tuesday. We have the first video coming out tomorrow for that. I do like this show. Season 1 was awesome. Season 2 is not as good yet, but it's only on episode 4. So I'm not
is that worth recapping?
Yeah. Season 1's great. Season 1 is very good.
I know what you'll be doing after Severance, Dan.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. This show is only a half an hour, and every episode, you immediately want to start the next one. It's just got that binge factor. Some shows got it and some shows don't. This show, It has it. So, I mean, Martin Short, Steve Martin, it's very well written, and they take care of this show. So I have tons of fun watching it. Season 1, I guess who the killer was. Season 2, I have no idea. So we'll see, man. I'm gonna try to figure it out. I like that show a lot.
I'll talk to you like off air about what I'll pay you to do next, and then I gotta figure out how much money I'm gonna pay you too, because Dana's getting that poll for free. So Jisoo Choi, I'm guessing he just hopped on. He said you go on the subreddit, which is still like a site that I just don't understand. I like can't.
Me either, dude. Yeah,
Can't
neither.
navigate it. He said so many people hating on the finale. I thought it was the best episode yet.
Ooh.
Thoughts? I am glad that I'm glad you liked it. I wouldn't say it's like the worst episode ever, but me and Dan alluded to it earlier. We didn't allude to it. We just flat out said it. It didn't feel like a finale, which is why I wasn't a huge fan of it, because it just kind of felt like the whole season I felt like was rushed. It just didn't feel like a finale. Like I had to double check that it was an 8-episode season. But Dan, I mean, have you seen any like people hating on the finale? Like G?
No, I mean, when we covered it on the podcast, I was talking to Brad and he loved it. I mean, he's like the biggest Homelander fan there is. So
I still do not, to this day, I don't get that.
yeah, he loves him.
I love Brad. Brad's like,
yeah,
Brad's an OG. Brad's a loyal dude to the Scene of Victory fam. It weirdly annoys me that he has fans out there like Brad. I'm like, how are you gonna say this dude's your favorite superhero just because he's got like problems on the inside? Like totally, like Peter Parker doesn't have problems.
Yeah,
like Peter Parker has to make rent.
I don't know.
Like it's just go ahead.
I'll ask him to rant about why he likes him next time I talk to him.
Like I think he has before. I just like I think it's way too like he was the first one to come out and be like Homelander's my favorite superhero, and I just felt like that was a trendy thing to say. And I felt like it was like way too fast and soon for him to say it, because it's like when you see like the latest Marvel movie, you're like, that's the best Marvel movie yet.
Right. Recency bias. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a week later, you're like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I'm subject to recency bias a lot. That happens to me a lot, where I really like something and I overreact to it. But I mean, who was it that liked it? Was it G? I want to get his G. You really liked it? Hey man, that's your prerogative. That's why we do this.
I'm glad that you liked it so much. Like truly.
Yeah. It just didn't feel like a finale to me. I mean, be fair when you're asking this question. Have they ever pulled a fake out death before? No. They did it twice in one scene. So it felt anti-boys to me, and it felt like not a finale. So that's where my problems arise from it. I still had a good time watching the season as a whole. It didn't land for me at the end.
Yeah, I do feel like if people initially watch this live chat or the beginning, like they're gonna be like, these dudes just shit all over it. They hate it. And it's no, like we both really, really like the show. I just felt like after season 1 and 2 being how strong those 2 seasons were, season 3 kind of hit a speed bump. They hit a pothole.
Yeah.
Big Philadelphia-sized pothole. So it's not like it was bad necessarily. I just felt like the lack of direction with this season was just so apparent. And I don't quite understand how that's even possible to have a lack of season. Now, somebody brought up earlier in the chat, I forget who it was, I do apologize, but somebody brought up like this was a lot of character building. And Dusted Jotaro says season 3 felt like a setup for insanity to come in season 4. I don't necessarily totally disagree with that. I don't disagree that this might have just been a setup. I mean, there's one thing this show is like off the handle. They just don't care. And I do like that. So I hope he's right. Like, I hope Dusted is correct in the assumption that like this is going to be the craziest season in season 4. Because if you have Homelander teaming up with Head Popper, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's got tons of potential. We'll see how it plays out. So,
all right, bud.
Yeah,
I got nothing else, man. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, we went over an hour, man. That was fun.
Yeah, Manuel Scott said Peter Parker sucks.
What's the next show we're gonna do together? Do you know?
I don't know.
All right.
I usually wait for like the big name shows, and there's not really one coming out.
Doesn't it suck that Umbrella Academy kind of sucked this year? I love that show too.
I thought it started off so strong too, dude. If you want like the bane of my existence, if anyone out there, if you have ever reached the end credits, not the end credits, for the like end screen of my videos, when I say like I usually don't check the comment section, because nasty comments make me feel bad because I'm a lib cuck soy boy. Go look at the comments to my Umbrella Academy season 3 recap.
Yeah.
Like, it is just torching me because I accidentally call Victor she sometimes. And then I realize it might be because when I start the season off and I'm calling the character she because the character hadn't transitioned yet. And people are just like jumping the gun and being like, this is ridiculous. But oh my God, dude, I tweeted it out from my Twitter account at _recaps. You can go see it. But this one scathing comment from this chick who was like not having my apology. And I'm like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, I don't care if you identify as a freaking wombat as long as you're letting the ads run. But oh my God, man, like there's no bigger cesspool on my channel right now than season 3 Umbrella Academy of just a bunch of people who woke up miserable looking to get offended when it's not that deep. I'm just like, I finally told her, I actually responded to the person. I told her, like, you're getting way too upset at me over a damn show about superheroes. But yeah, it sucks. I hate comment sections so much. Like, these live chats are great because I think this is like the 6th or 7th one we've done, and I've only gotten one hater on here, and everybody else has been like super nice. But oh my God, the lack of, like, people understanding mistakes happen. It's so frustrating. It's just back to the season though. Thank you for letting me vent, and because I don't have a therapist, which I probably need one. So instead I come on the internet and do it to you. I thought season 3 started off really strong, and it just kind of like petered out.
Yeah, I just didn't care. I didn't care at all about that. I mean, it's so hard to follow up from 2 because season 2 is amazing, so good. So I mean, I get it. They come back strong again.
Season 1, I thought like, oh my God, this is such a cool idea. Mediocre show. Season 2, I was like, all right, show's finally hitting its stride. This is great. And then season 3, I was like, all right, this is starting off real strong, and then it just kind of, as I said, it petered out. And I have no idea what direction they're going with in season 4. It's going to be interesting. So I don't know what the next show we can do. We can decide that. We usually go with the shows that are popular, and this was perfect because it was week by week. So but we'll figure something out. Hopefully in season 4 they start killing some people. Because that's one thing like Game of Thrones did so well.
Yes.
I remember talking to a buddy of mine when I first tried to get into Game of Thrones, and I gave it like I think maybe 2 episodes. And I told him, I'm like, dude, I just can't get into the show. And he's like, you gotta understand, this show is so good that once you get into it, you will be hooked for forever. He goes, because one of the reasons why is this show sticks with the books, and they are not afraid to kill off main characters. And I ended up picking it back up a couple months later, and he was so right. You think Ned Stark is going to be this important piece that is going to last seasons, and whoop, head chopped off, done. And yeah, they brought a couple of people back here and there. Shout out to Jon Snow, but for the most part, like, that show was so good because of the fact that they weren't scared to kill off main characters. And they would kill off main characters, they'd introduce new ones, but it didn't really miss a beat. And they kept the core, a little tiny core there, but it was so good. And even the characters that they didn't kill off, they would like take something from them. So they would take Jaime's hand, or they would make Cersei walk through the streets behind a soccer club's owner. Like, it was, they'd really rip something from them, whether it be dignity or physical or whatnot. So show's so damn good. All right, look, I have taken up way too much of your time, way too much of Emmanuel Scott's time, and Dusted's time, and Jonathan's time, and everybody else. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, I do have the Patreon link that I've been begging people to sign up for. So hit the link in the description, and it'll take you to the Patreon link, or buy a t-shirt, or don't do any of those things. Hit thumbs down and be like, this dude sucks. Your prerogative. I don't care. I'm going to avoid comments at all costs. And we will do this, I don't know, eventually. All right. Goodbye, Daniel. Say goodbye.
See ya. Thanks for having me.